All right, friends and familiars, thank you for tuning in to Dark Mind Radio, the live broadcast of the Dark Mind Podcast, where we explore the boundless realm of dark literature and film. Tonight is the laid-back call-in show where I play dark EDM and interact with writers, filmmakers, book talkers, and listeners via live calls and live chat. Remember, my radio channel will not hijack your phone, so if you need to get some work done, you can exit out of the app or the browser and listen to it play in the background. Be sure to follow the radio channel so that you can receive email notifications anytime the show goes live. You'll be able to listen to the guest episodes live weeks before they're published. You'll also be able to see upcoming events as well as listen to previous episodes just like a regular podcast player. All right, folks. Under normal circumstances, this is the point where I would open up the phone line, but I have a guest that I want to have on that I'm kind of making space for right at the beginning because she has some family obligations. So before I open up the phone line, give me 1 second, and I'm going to see if I can't get her on the phone. And while you wait, maybe listen to some more EDM. It's not very dark tonight. I don't know, it's kind of dark, a little cyberpunky. Anyway, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, folks, I am excited. On the phone, we have a very talented author. She is a Bram Stoker Award winner and a Shirley Jackson Award finalist. She is the author of The Daughters of Block Island and also has a new novel on the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Christa Carmen.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, what are you up to on this fine evening? Would it be Independence Day Eve?
Yes, I guess you are correct. What am I up to? Nothing right now except, typical end of the day wind down stuff. But a couple hours earlier, I got some writing on a new novel done, so that's very exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Always love to hear when talented authors say, yeah, I've been penning some words on a new novel. So I believe you probably have many irons in the fire, but if this particular iron is the one entitled Beneath the Poet's House, is that correct?
So
no, that's the one that just got released.
No,
right?
no. You're on the right track in terms of that is the one that's not out yet. But that, just by virtue of the way crazy production schedules work, I'm happy to say that book is all done and wrapped up and tied up in a neat little bow, even though it's not coming out for another 5 months.
Okay.
I'm working on a new novel that I probably shouldn't say anything about. I'll be very secretive. But yeah, the Beneath the Poet's House novel is coming out December 10th.
December 10th. Yeah. I don't know how I got confused about that because I did watch your social media post of you unboxing the, were those arcs or those were the finished product?
No, those were the arcs. Yep. And no worries. These things are it's very confusing. It's sometimes you don't even get arcs. Some publishers don't do that. And sometimes they only do the ebook. But I was lucky enough to get some print arcs for the new book. And yes, I did do my first unboxing video. I've never done one before. And yeah, I'm sure you saw my lovely assistant, Mirabelle, who definitely helps out more than she thinks she does. She's never quite satisfied in the unleashing energy department. So she was very...
I know the feeling.
Yeah, right? She's like a bloodhound golden retriever mix. So she's both super happy-go-lucky and super driven and intense, which is a weird combo. So yeah, I think that was all on display in the unboxing video.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have what is purportedly, and I even think my wife got papers when they bought him, is purportedly a Maltipoo, but I swear to God, we even looked up pictures of them. We think he might be a Jackapoo because when he gets happy, he spins around in circles, and he's 10 years old and he's got more energy than my wife and I put together. And he's kind of insane. I'm just going to say it. He's nuts.
Well, that is very unnerving to hear that a dog at 10 years old can still possess that much energy. I've sort of been hoping that when she turns maybe 3 this December, that she will calm down a little bit. I had a beagle previously, and when she turned 3, she calmed down a good amount.
Yeah, I think ours is probably just going to have to succumb to like arthritis or something before he slows down. He still jumps off the bed like pounding onto his joints. Can't be good for him. Well, so something significant happened at StokerCon, but just the event itself in general. How was StokerCon this year? I was kind of jealous because I didn't go. It was in San Diego, which unless, the crazy weather we've been having, something changed, I would imagine the weather was probably amazing. Yes, no?
It was amazing. Oh, sorry, there's the crazy dog now. It was amazing. I keep saying I've never been to San Diego. I think I might have driven through San Diego in the past. It was the first time I got to spend a significant amount of time there. It was really great. I got to go to the San Diego Zoo, and a big group of horror writers went to the Whaley House, a purportedly haunted previous courthouse, and had a lot of eerie family history. It was a blast. And yeah, the convention itself was just so much fun. So definitely have to, I think, what is it, next year? Have you been to a StokerCon before?
I have not. I'm actually going to the Texas AuthorCon at the end of this month, but I have not been to StokerCon.
Well, next year it's in Stamford, Connecticut, so I'm a bit spoiled in that it's like an hour and a half from my home in Rhode Island. But yeah, so the StokerCons are a lot of fun. There's a lot of great people that come, and obviously it's always fun to have the award ceremony and have a little excitement, whether nominated or not. It's just a fun little who's who of cool people and new projects, and it's exciting.
Well, speaking of who's who of cool people, is this a normal occurrence? Does Stephen King normally monitor the social media coming from the event and comment on it, or was that something that just happened this year?
I definitely didn't know that was happening at the time. I kind of saw it after the fact. I saw that he reposted Tananarive's Dew's big win, and a couple other things. Yeah, I have no idea. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, I saw him post a picture of a selfie that Brian Keene took in his suit.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Calling him, I forget, said something like, a sexy man or good looking man or something like that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And I went to Stephen King's page. I was like, is that real? So I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a mirror or some sort of a scam. I was like, oh my God.
yeah, it was wild that he was tuned in, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And so I saw you with, I forget what the actual physical award, what it actually is. I saw a picture of you with it, but you won the Bram Stoker Award for Superior Achievement in a First Novel for The Daughters of Block Island. Is that correct?
That is all correct, yes. And it is thank you. It is a very cool little Gothic haunted house statue, and the color scheme, the kind of weird brownish tan old school architecture of the little house and the gargoyles on it. It's just really awesome. I had never seen one even up close before getting to hold it myself, having just won it. It was very cool. I was like, wow, these are super heavy and super intricate and really awesome. So that was a fun surprise.
So where is the award displayed?
So I jokingly, not really jokingly, but I put up a funny, humorous photo the other day. My daughter is quite enamored of it. She thinks it's a very perfect My Little Pony villain castle, which, it kind of is. So when it's
Okay.
not in her playroom being used for the My Little Ponies, definitely in my office. Going to try to get like a cool little shelf for it and keep it on the wall. So yeah, it's nice to, I know awards
Maybe some lighting.
Yeah, right. It was spotlit and awards are certainly a subjective thing and certainly not necessary for internal validation or external. And they're, they are what they are, but it is kind of cool. Like, I'm working on a new novel right now, and there's been a couple times over the last couple weeks or, I guess the last month where I've kind of been sitting there at my desk like, what am I doing? I don't even know how to write a novel. Like, how did I ever do this before? Like, I'm stuck, and what comes next? And then I kind of look over, and I'm like, well, I guess I did do it before because there's a little house trophy over there staring at me. So, it's nice for moments like that.
In your words, it may be subjective, but it's got to be good for imposter syndrome. Like, never.
It's nice. It's worth its weight in ceramic gargoyles. I'm not quite sure it's made of.
Well, it looked like something you could stop a mugging with. It looked pretty substantial.
For sure.
Well, this may be kind of a non sequitur or out there in the weeds all of a sudden, but I've been curious. My wife and I watched Late Night with the Devil. Have you seen that movie?
I have seen it.
What did you think of it?
I really liked it. I don't know that I would say I loved it. I'm pretty I go with my gut on horror films, like whether I like them or not. Like a lot of times something can really appeal to me intellectually or thematically, but I don't necessarily love it. Like it didn't maybe all come together for me. And I guess I would kind of say that that's this film, but I have a pretty high bar. So I really liked it a lot. I felt like there were a couple parts where I don't know. Now I sound like I'm being too harsh on it because I definitely really liked it. And I, for one, really loved the ending. I know some people were like, oh, it kind of pulled back from the found footage, approach that it was taking and it became something else. And I personally despise found footage horror films. So for me, I was like, this is great. I love that it went kind of out there with the ending. But yeah, I really liked it. How about you? What did you and your wife think?
Oh, I loved it. More so because of kind of like a nostalgia that the atmosphere kind of brought up for me, because I can totally see that actually being a real show. When I grew up, my parents went to sleep probably around 10, I think, and they left their door open with the television on, and I would kind of sit there at the open doorway and watch. They always had the Tonight Show on. So the fact that he was actually in competition with the Tonight Show, and to me, the show, I think it was called Night Owls. To me, that's a believable show. I feel like that could have actually existed.
Yeah.
And I'm probably butchering his name. Is it David Dastmalchian or something?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either, but that sounds like how I would pronounce it in my head.
Yeah, I think he just did a great job of playing somebody. I wish the show was real, and I wish Jack Delroy was real. He's just a real smooth, affable guy. But on top of that, the first thing I thought when I was about halfway into the movie is I can totally see why Stephen King thought highly of this movie.
Yeah,
because it's kind
very
of
much his aesthetic and I totally agree. Yeah, I definitely. So as long as I'm thoroughly entertained, I'm happy with I feel like the horror film was well worth watching, and I was definitely very entertained by that film.
Yeah. And I like contained films. And what better place to have a film contained than a soundstage where there's no windows, it's sound treated, and everything's kind of meant to put you in an artificial atmosphere to begin with,
Yes, I totally agree. That's a very good point.
Yep. Well, you mentioned setting a high bar. So found footage is totally out. You haven't ever seen one that you would say, oh, they did that pretty well. Because I'm thinking of Hell House LLC. I love Hell House LLC.
So I have a horrible confession with that movie. I had heard that it was really wonderful and that it was really well scripted and like very worth watching. And I actually broke, like I have like a really committed approach to like never watching found, like the new movie comes out and it's found footage. I'm just like, no, I'm not even doing it because it only makes me mad. There's just too many things about the subgenre that I don't enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And, not any time close to when it had come out, the Hell House LLC, but I had heard enough about it for long enough that I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this one a chance. And then this is my horrible confession. So like completely randomly, it just so happened that the night that we tried to watch it, like I think my husband either had to get up like extra early for work or he was extra tired from the day. And I was sort of like moose like myself. Like I was like, yeah, I'm kind of tired too. I should go to bed too. And we started it and I was happy with it and watching it and thoroughly entertained and into it. And we turned it off maybe a little more than halfway through. And then I started doubting, not so much myself, but like kind of doubting myself, I guess. Like I was like, it's not going to be that good. It's found footage, it is. Why are you going back on your commitment to not watching these movies? It's probably not that good. Are you really, my thought process was like, are you really going to waste a second night watching this movie? Like you didn't even finish it the first night. Are you going to watch the rest of it at any point? And so I went into my room and like got in bed and went to go to sleep. And I pulled the synopsis up on Wikipedia and I read the rest of the plot synopsis and figured out what happened. And as soon as I read the whole thing, I was like, you dummy, that was actually awesome. And if you had just watched it, it would have been totally cool. So I ruined the movie for myself. It probably was the only found footage film in years that I would have enjoyed. And I never went back and actually watched the end because I already knew what happened. So total
there's
bummer.
more than one. There's more than one, and they basically stand alone.
Yeah, are the other ones good as well?
Oh, yes. Like, that's what shocked me. I mean, in my opinion, it's all subjective, as they say. But, yeah, I think there's either 3 or 4. I can't remember.
Okay.
But, yeah, they those goddamn clowns.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the same person that directs those every time, but,
I don't know.
They know how to set up a jump scare. It's horrific.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Maybe I'll give the second one a shot. If I end up watching it, I'll let you know. And I won't.
You are barred from Wikipedia.
Yeah, I will not spoil it. No spoilers.
You have to lock your phone up.
Yep.
Well, let's see. We've covered your newest book. Is there anything? Well, you said you were sworn to secrecy. You could tell me, but you'd have to kill me.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, as soon as I think soon-ish, I'll be able to announce the new project. And yeah, I mean, other than the Daughters of Black Island, obviously is out and about, and then Poet's House is December 10th, and then I got a couple anthologies coming out this year. Was it April or May? I think May. A really cool anthology called Why Didn't You Just Leave came out from Cursed Morsels Press. So I have a story in there. There is a Weird House Press anthology called 13 Possessions that should be out at some point this year. Mm-hmm. And then what else? I have I definitely should talk about that, the anthology that I co-edited. Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking, plugging that one. So 2 years ago at Necronomicon in Providence, L.E. Daniels, Lauren Daniels, and I co-edited the first installment of a Rhode Island-based horror author's kind of folklore antho called We Are Providence, Tales of Horror from the Ocean State. And we are back this year at Necronomicon with the sequel antho called Monsters in the Mills, More Tales of Horror from the Ocean State. And gosh, I need to get better at plugging this because I don't know exactly how many stories there are, but there's poetry, there's a whole bunch of stories, all either Rhode Island based or Rhode Island connected or New England connected. We kind of widened the net a little bit this time around. But yeah, just a really wonderful anthology of cool takes on, abandoned New England mills and kind of factory ghost stories and New England lore. And there's a introduction by the brilliant Faye Ringel. And again, Lauren Daniels and I co-edited it. There's stories in there from Joshua Rex and Brennan LaFaro and Jessica Wick and Mary Robles, poetry in there, just really wonderful tales it was a pleasure editing it. So I'm definitely plugging that. That will be released at Necronomicon. I think it's, oh God, let me get this date right. The convention is August 15th. Our launch party for that is Saturday, August 17th. And then after that, the book will be available, wherever fine books are sold on the internet. And I'll probably get it up for pre-order before then at some point. So I guess keep an eye on my social media if you're interested, and I'll be posting a pre-order link. But yeah, those are the big projects this year: the Rhode Island Antho, my second novel in December, and then a smattering of other anthologies.
Nice. My God. That's enough to keep you busy, definitely.
Yeah.
Or keep us busy, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, listeners at home, I'm neglecting the fact that we're audio only here. We are speaking with, or we have been speaking with, author Christa Carmen. So I know you've got to get back to the family.
Yeah. If I don't get the toddler to bed at a reasonable hour, my life will become its own horror story. So I appreciate the early call in on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, all links will be in the description. And Christa, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for calling in, and you have a great night.
Thank you, Vincent. I really appreciate the call, and have a great night yourself.
All righty. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks. There was somebody trying to call in, and I apologize. I had to decline it to keep the beep from coming through. I didn't want to drown out Christa while she was talking. So whoever that was, please give me a call back. I'd love to hear from you. So I believe we will jump behind the wall here, play some music, and I've got some other guests I think that may be jumping on. So we'll see what we can do in that realm. But until then, listen to some music, and whoever that was that tried to call. Oh, I hear them calling. All right. We'll be right back. All right, folks. On the phone, I have an author that transcends genre. He is the author of the semi-autobiographical novel Crooked Smile, the dark dystopian thriller Children of Apothety, and most recently, a collection of short stories entitled The Absence of Death. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Moody. Jack, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was really hoping there would be like a clap soundboard, so I'm psyched.
You were hoping there'd be what?
A clap soundboard, and then it happened, so I'm really psyched.
Oh, yeah. I know what you...
You know your way around it. I got you.
Yeah, I know what greases your... what's the word I'm looking for? Your social gears. Neither one of us can drink anymore, so I need canned applause and canned laughter. I don't have the canned laughter. God damn it. Okay, I'm going to get some of that for next time.
Yeah, we'll add that in.
So, speaking of which... What are you at now? You at 3 years, 4 years?
Oh, sobriety?
Yeah.
I'll hit 3 years in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Listeners at home, those not aware, Jack and I are sober brothers, both trying to stay out of trouble because when we drink, we're allergic to it. We break out in handcuffs. It's horrible. Well... You have a new collection out, and when you were last on the show, it was for Children of Apothety. How long after recording was it that this new collection came out?
It just came out. It was June 15th, so a couple months. It was supposed to come out a lot sooner after we talked, but it ended up getting pushed back a little, which probably ended up being a good thing because I'm just shitting out books this year, so it's probably good to space them out.
Yeah. You still in that manic creative rush?
Yeah, just kind of waiting for the come down.
Yeah. How long have you been going?
Since I got sober, I haven't stopped writing a book.
Yeah. I started this, 2 years ago, and it slowed down a little, but not much. it's like one part slows down and then I find some other aspect, like the live streams, that I want to throw myself into. It's just like, I'm always looking for some new obsessive element.
Well, that's people like us, man. We got to stay busy with something.
Fuck yeah. The expression idle hands are the devil's playthings, or however it goes, is very accurate in, I assume, both of our cases.
Yeah. I'll be writing a book, and then, I go through the whole thing of sending out to agents or presses, and then that makes me depressed because I don't like it. And then I'm like, this sucks. Let's write something because that makes me feel good. So then I'll just start writing a new book, and then the cycle continues. I haven't not been writing a book since, Crooked Smile came out. Right now I'm working on my 10th.
Your 10th?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Man.
Because this one came out. That's my 5th. Miracle Boy, that comes out in August. That's my 6th. The Lights That Dim is another novel. That comes out in October. That's my 7th. I got an 8th book. That's a gothic horror novel. That comes out sometime next year. And I just finished this cosmic horror novel that right now I'm just kind of fishing for agents and publishers. And in the meantime, I got sick of doing that. So I've been working on this other novel right now.
Gotcha. So, is there anything you can reveal? I was trying to get some information out of Christa, but she wasn't letting any of it out. We were going to have to wait. Is there anything, any upcoming, any sneak peek, any exclusives to the Dark Mind radio stream?
Oh yeah, I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Well, Miracle Boy comes out in August. That's my next book after this one, and I'm so excited about it. I guess it's hard to be objective with my own writing, but I think it's the best book I've written, and I've written a bunch of books since then, and they just aren't the same. I don't know what. Well, if you want me to tell you what happened, I wrote it last year. It must have been in April because I wrote it in 3 weeks. I had a really bad manic episode that devolved into a psychotic episode, and I just wrote this novel. It started as kind of an autobiographical. It's basically like a prequel to Crooked Smile, like chronologically. A Crooked Smile is based on my life. It took place from when I was like 24 to 26. Mm-hmm. This book takes place when I was 21. And the subject around it was something I had never written about. I didn't really ever want to write about. And so it kind of fucked me up trying to write about it. And my brain broke. And I wrote the whole thing in 3 weeks straight because I wasn't working at the time. I got fired from this shitty job. Shout out to Chibo.
Was that the one that called you in the middle of the interview?
No, I still work for them. They're cool.
Oh, okay.
This is last year. So I had a bunch of time on my hands, and because normally I'm really meticulous with my writing, and I'll stare at like a sentence for an hour trying to make sure the wording's just the way I want it. But this book, I just my brain was moving too fast. And so the whole book is stream of consciousness. I didn't edit a single thing. I just wrote until I got to a place where it was done. And it started as kind of like an autobiographical novel, but I was not in my right mind while writing it. So it kind of devolved in this really surrealist, absurdist novella. There's a talking sea turtle with a plastic straw in its nose. That's also God. There's a jester with the universe inside his eye and a talking skeleton in a hearse that takes me to a party in a graveyard. Nice. The world is ending while it's happening, but I'm so proud of it. It's so weird and so cool. And I guess the way that I judge how much I like what I write is I'll have the image of what I want in my head, right? And it's how well can I translate what's in my head onto the page? How well can exactly what I have in there be described in words, as best as I can? And this book, I did that better than any other book I've written. It just came out exactly how I saw it in my head. And it's short, it's kind of sparse language, almost kind of minimalist with elements of, I just went off on these manic poetic tangents. And but I can't write that book again, and it bothers me because, like, for my health, I can't write that book again, but I'm glad that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out on August 15th through Anxiety Press. I got two of my favorite authors, like contemporary authors, to write blurbs for it, and I'm so thankful to them, to Shane Kowalski and HLR. If you haven't read their work, I think I did reviews when I worked for the Bell Esprit. I did reviews on both of their books, and their work is just amazing to me. And especially Shane, because he's kind of in that same vein as this book is.
Mm-hmm.
It's very kind of surrealist, humorous, kind of absurdism, like literary fiction. And I found him because the guy that runs the small press section in Powell's here in Portland also runs his own press called Future Tense Books. And I've kind of gotten to know him a little bit, and he was kind of showing me some of the people he's published, and he introduced me to Shane. And God, that book is so good. I'm literally going to find out what its title is because I want to tell people, because it's really good. But that book comes out in August. This book is out now, and there it is. What are you called? Small Moods by Shane Kowalski. Holy shit, it's a good book.
Okay.
It's short stories, like
right.
Really like micro short stories. There's like a bunch of them, and they're only like a couple pages. And I really like those kinds of books where it's like really short chapters or just kind of like micro stories, because it keeps your attention. You know what I mean? I've always kind of liked that, and I kind of picked that up from, like, John Fonte did that, and I guess Bukowski did that too, where it's just such short story or such short chapters or stories that catch your attention. You just, you'll think you're finished reading, and you look and be like, oh, well, the next one's only 3 pages. So I'll just read that and then I'll be done. But then it just keeps going. And, in 2 hours, you finish the entire book because it's just absorbed you and kept your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of did that with his book. And then HLR, if people aren't aware of HLR, I mean, she's my favorite living poet, like, easily.
Mm-hmm.
Her book, History of Present Complaint, is one of, like, the most beautiful, heartbreaking, and realistic depictions of mental illness and, like, the mental healthcare system that I've ever read. She says such a great way with words. So I hope people check them out. I can't remember why I started talking about them. Oh, it's because they blurb by Mook, and I'm more excited about them right now than my own work. I wanted to talk about them, I guess. But yeah, they blurbed this book. Really, really nice of them to do that. And then in October, my book, The Lights That Dim, comes out. And so if Miracle Boy is my best book, The Lights That Dim is my favorite book I've ever written. I'm so excited about it, because it's like, that idea, like, you write what you want to read. It's like everything that I'm really interested in, and the kind of style of media, whether it's literature or film or whatever, that I really enjoy. And just like the things that interest me are all part of this book, with a very central theme that's personal to me. And it's a very big, kind of almost like an epic novel. There's multiple points of view with multiple characters, and their stories all intertwine, and it takes place in Paris. And I'm so excited to talk more about that book, but that's the problem when I shit out novels this often, is that first I probably need you to I need to talk about these other books first.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, cut me off. I need to stop.
Well, I was just going to say, listeners just tuning in, we are speaking with author Jack Moody. And so to kind of backtrack a little bit, something you said really interested me. I believe you were talking about Miracle Boy. You said you were upset because you feel you couldn't write it again.
Oh, yeah.
So the way you described it, other than the fact that it was surrealist, it kind of sounded like a manic stream of consciousness, kind of akin to Jack Kerouac on the road. It wasn't necessarily surrealist, but I mean, just really kind of like Van Gogh, just going on a manic creative spurt. Was it something like that happened organically, or?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and that's why I don't think I can do it again because I actually did. I like had that thought. So I wrote the book. I literally didn't read it over, and this is the only time I ever do this because I am like super meticulous with like editing. You know, I'll go over the book again and again and again, try to catch any little typos or fix any kind of clunky sentences. With this book, because of the central theme around it, I didn't want to read it again. And so I just didn't. I sent it out to Anxiety Press exactly how I had written it without editing a single thing. He took it, and it wasn't until like December of last year that I was like, okay, maybe I should actually like look at it and like see if there's any typos or something I should fix or anything I want to change. And I was like worried about it because I don't know. I guess I was worried that like reading it might, you know what? I hate that that the word like triggered has turned into this like weird like slur against liberals or something, because I don't know what other word to use, but like I was worried that it was going to like trigger an episode by rereading it. And so that's why I didn't look at it for so long.
So you don't know what the impetus for it was? Like,
oh no, I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, no, the subject matter of it was something that is very difficult for me to write about and talk about. And I had never written about it before for that reason.
Oh, okay. So it was the content itself that your words, not mine, made your brain break. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. But when I finally did reread it, I was like, oh no, this is like so good. Like, I'm so proud of this. This is perfect. There was like 2 or 3 typos that I fixed. And other than that, I was like, no, everything stays exactly how it is. And I'm like, never like that with my books. And then I started thinking, you know, it's like, oh, but I should do that again then, because this is like my favorite book. This is my best book. And I started actually worrying, like, well, I started thinking and then worrying that I should like try to trigger an episode to replicate the process, you know?
Yeah.
And then I kind of backtracked. I'm like, this is like the same mentality as you used to have, where it's like you have to be a drunk and be a fuck up to be able to write about it. It's like, no, we can't do that, you know?
Yeah, I was like, that sounds familiar. Do something unhealthy to help my creative impulse. That doesn't sound.
Yeah. And thankfully, I now kind of have that hindsight. But that even makes the book more special to me. It was just kind of this like lightning in a bottle moment. That really did help me, because at the end of the day, that's kind of like why I write books. The way I decide on a topic or a theme for the novel is I'm like, all right, what is like really bothering you? What's something that you're struggling to get past as a human being? You know, and then like, what's at the front of your mind? What's bothering you the most? And once I pinpoint that, I'm like, okay, there's the theme. And then I start kind of forming the book around that. And so, you know, the process of writing the book really helped me with the source of the book itself, you know? And then in a lot of the book, it's very meta in ways that are kind of hard to describe. It's kind of like the character who is me becomes self-aware of the fact that he's a character, and I'm, as the writer, his God, and I'm like dreaming him, and he becomes basically lucid within my dream and aware of himself and aware of me as the writer. And I can't replicate that, and that's fine, but I'm really excited for people to read it. And by the way, I really appreciate everybody that's been buying it. It's doing better than I thought it would. So I hope people are enjoying it and reading it, or are about to get to it whenever you can. I've been rereading it because I'll like reread my own book once I have a physical copy, just to confirm that it's not dog shit. And I'm really enjoying it.
If I was a writer, I couldn't read my own stuff ever again.
Well, yeah, you do have to kind of make peace with it, because there's always going to be something that you notice. And it's like, well, fuck, now it's too late. So you kind of have to let go of that. But it does help in a way, because it's like, I choose to kind of see it as like, oh, the fact that you're noticing this now when you hadn't at the time that you wrote it means that you're probably progressing as a writer, you know? So I kind of try to see it like that, instead of, oh, this is dog shit, not worth reading because I'm better now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I like literally just an hour or so ago, a couple hours ago, I put a new phone case on my phone, and it was one of those waterproof ones that has the screen protector, and there was these little specks that I could see between it. And so I showed my wife, I was like, should I be freaked out about this? Is it like reasonable to think that you can't get everything out? She's like, what are you talking about?
No, I understand.
Well, how's the wife?
She's good. She's at work. She's trying to get me to stop writing so much because it's summer and I'm supposed to like hang out and be a human being. So I'm working on that.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically I'm trying to wake up earlier so that I can write and get everything out of my head. And then the rest of the day, if I'm not working, then I have, the rest of the day to spend with her and see friends and everything. I'm trying to become a more social creature and return to being a human being. And I think I'm making progress on that, but she's good.
Yeah. It's easy to kind of close yourself away doing something creative, like just lock yourself up in a room somewhere.
Yeah, it's hard because it's my favorite thing. I really love doing it. It's too fun. So it's hard to pull away.
That addictive nature. It's like, no, I just got to keep doing it.
Yeah. And she's kind of pointed out to me that it's like, because I have OCD, I've like diagnosed OCD. Mm-hmm. And she's like, it's kind of coming out in your writing routine now. Like you start to get really irritable if you're unable to write. And I hadn't really noticed that. So that's like a good thing to be aware of. It's like, okay, well, maybe, I want to keep this as like a purely fun thing for me. I don't want this to start causing me anxiety or something if I'm not able to, whatever. If I have an idea in my head, if I can't get it out right away, I need to learn to be okay with that. Because I have this like thing. There's this one quote, I forget who the writer was, but it's like she saw writing, or even just like, what's the word? Like inspiration as like the words are like these things that fly around and you have to catch them. And so she would like walk around with a pen and paper. And as soon as the idea came to her, she would write it down before she lost it, because it would like fly away. Mm-hmm. And then it's gone forever, and I kind of have that same kind of irrational worry about it, that like if I don't get it down right when I think of it, or if I have like the perfectly worded sentence in my head and I'm not at a place where I can put it down, it like stresses me out a lot. And I need to like learn to let go of the words if it's not time for words,
I forget who it was that was on the show. They told me about this Stephen King quote, which I don't know, you may or may not like Stephen King, but no,
I love him. He's great.
He's got this quote: "A writer's notebook is the best way in the world to immortalize bad ideas."
Yeah.
I guess basically saying that if it's a good idea, it'll come back to you or something.
Yeah. And I honestly agree with that. I think that's a great point. Because, I have noticed that like the really big things that I really want to make sure to put in my books, but I can't right away, I don't lose those ones, Yeah. And so it's kind of the same idea as like, if you have something you're stressed out about, but then you like can't remember what it was that you were stressed about anymore. It's like, well, it's probably not worth stressing out about if you can't even remember it, So it's kind of the same thing with the writing. If there was an idea you had and you were sure about it at the time, now you can't even remember it, it probably wasn't meant to be. It probably didn't need to be in the book,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, boy, I don't know. Every time I think about the act of writing a novel, I don't know if I have the wherewithal and attention.
Well, I just kind of...
Is it kind of a marathon?
I don't know. I kind of treat it like a series of separate sprints, I only look at it like a chapter at a time. I break it up. And I have like a vague idea of what will happen later, but I don't worry about it too much. It just kind of comes when it comes. I still kind of have the short story mentality when it comes to novels, where it's like you have this fully formed idea for what you want this chapter to be, and you get that down, and that will eventually lead you to whatever you're going to write next. And then when you come back to it, maybe you start seeing some through lines that aren't completely tied together, and then you just go in and do that when the time comes. Kind of a one foot in front of the other kind of thing. Or else, if I did think about it like that, like this is one long marathon, I'd be like, fuck that. I can't think that far ahead,
Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess just like writing a good story, I suppose it's all about pacing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I think I need to put do not disturb on here. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Bring him in.
I can't. I only have one line, so.
Oh, well, get me out of here, man.
Well,
Clogging
I
up the
mean,
airways.
okay. Well,
no, I'm kidding.
I don't. You're giving me mixed signals here. I don't know what you want me to do.
No, I'm cool. I like it. I just like never get to talk about my writing ever.
Mhm.
So it's just, I probably sound like I'm out of my mind right now, but I'm just excited. I just like talking to you and getting to talk about my books and stuff.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, well, I guess not really speaking of books, I asked Christa about it. I'm just curious. My wife and I watched Late Night with the Devil. I can't remember if you're even into horror film.
I love horror films.
Okay. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I think the idea sounds cool. And I kind of caught the tail end of you talking about it, like how you like the idea of like the closed environment, kind of like the closed set. It all happens in the one room kind of thing. I really like ideas like that. And it seemed like they paid a lot of attention and detail to it really feeling organic, like, you know, very period accurate, you know, and I really dig that kind of stuff. And I can't remember the name of the guy, but that actor who plays the talk show host, I really like him in everything I've seen. But I don't know too much about it. I haven't seen it yet. I just know there's something to do with Bohemian Grove, and I'm down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a hell of a storyline. You know, they're really not as, I mean, maybe they were at one point, but they're really not so secretive. I mean, they have a website. You can look at pictures. You can look at pictures of that spot where they do, I forget what the name of the ceremony is, but the one that everybody was freaking out about, the big owl. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's 2024. You can't have, secrets don't exist anymore. You just have to look a little bit and you'll find it. You know, it's impossible these days.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much money you have and like what kind of security you can hire. Can't keep secrets. Yeah,
and just like the Illuminati isn't putting their fucking symbols in music videos. That makes no fucking sense. If you're a secret society, why would you bother putting in your symbol? That makes no sense.
Who is it? What's that pop star? Taylor Swift. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, all the Swifties. She's communicating with them.
Oh, yeah. Man, I just rewatched it. I had heard about it, but I watched it for the first time kind of recently. And I thought it was so cool. It's really, like, I haven't heard many people talk about it, but it's called Under the Silver Lake.
Uh-huh.
It's like a super neo-noir film that was like put out through A24. And it's like all about that. It's about this kind of like aimless kind of loser 30-year-old man living in LA who is like convinced that there's secrets and then these patterns and codes being communicated through all of our media. And, you know, there's some big secret society that's communicating through music and films and everything. And it's only meant for the people that are in that society. And otherwise it's all going over the regular people's heads. And he ends up going on this huge odyssey across LA, like trying to uncover this grand conspiracy. And it's like super in the vein of old noir films like Maltese Falcon or something, but trading the gritty New York or something for like LA hipsters and like that crowd. And it's so good. And there's so much detail in it. It was like the coolest movie. It's so good. I just wish more people had seen it because I want to talk to people about it. It's so cool. And like the soundtrack is awesome. It's super trippy and kind of surrealist.
All right. What's the name of it again?
Under the Silver Lake.
Under the Silver Lake. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, if you're like schizophrenic, probably don't watch it because you'll maybe go down a rabbit hole. But like it's kind of for those people who are not schizophrenic people, but, you know, like conspiracy theorists and how it can kind of become this like aimless rabbit hole where you just, you know, you lose yourself and you forget to live your life, you know, and it kind of does communicate that same idea that's like, you know, so what, like, who cares if the Illuminati's real? Like, what are you going to do? What does that change how your life is?
Mm-hmm.
That like they exist or they don't. Life is still going to continue the way it does for people like you. It's not meant for you, you know, and it kind of explores all these really, it's like a whole spider web of ideas and themes, all kind of like revitalized through this new kind of style of noir that I've never seen before. It's almost like new neo-noir. It's hard to explain. It's a trippy film.
Interesting. Yes, I will definitely check that out. Well, my friend, it has been great talking with you.
Yeah, thank you for letting me talk at you.
I love the way you heave words. No, just
Hey, but yeah, for anyone who's listening, The Absence of Death is out now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I really appreciate the support so far. I'm excited to see that people seem interested so far, and I'd love to get some feedback. You know, if you've read it, please leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads. Even if you hated it, at least then my imposter syndrome will be confirmed.
Uh-huh.
I'd rather have some feedback than no feedback. So just reach out if you want to. Let me know what you thought. I'm trying to be more social. And Vince, thanks for having me on. Love talking to you, buddy.
I love talking to you as well. And listeners at home, all links are in the description for everything that he has mentioned. And Jack, you have a good night. Thank you for calling in, and we will talk to you next time.
Yes, sir. See you, man.
Bye now. All right, folks. That was a great call. I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break and be right back. The phone line will be open as soon as we get back. But for the meantime, for your listening pleasure, we'll just, start the music up again. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, folks. On the phone, I have a talented splatterpunk author who is both prolific and horrific. He is the architect of the Texas AuthorCon that is coming up this July. Ladies and gentlemen, Merrill David.
Hey, Vince, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing good, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. You hear me okay?
Yeah, I'll hear you better once the crowd stops clapping. They're a little intoxicated.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a great crowd there. They sound hungry and pretty fueled up.
Yeah, there's a lot of White Claw involved, I think.
Yeah, it sounded like it. It sounded like from that response, they were probably a little bit on the tippy side.
Yeah. Well, what are you up to, my friend? It sounds like you're handling business.
Me and my wife were doing a little gardening. It's too hot during the daytime, so the sun was starting to go down, so we were trying to get a little bit of gardening in before it got dark. As you know, it's only about 120 degrees here in Texas or something like that, so you do what you can.
Yeah.
And you're even further south, so it's even probably hotter where you're at.
Yeah, we're kind of in the armpit of the Gulf of Mexico, so we've got like a tractor beam of humidity just aimed right at us.
Yeah,
So,
it's hot up here in the Dallas area, but I don't think we have that humidity like you do. So I would say it's probably much worse down where you're at.
yeah, and it looks like when Beryl finally hits Mexico, southern tip of Texas, we'll probably get some bans off the dirty side of that thing. So might be some rain coming. My brother, we went and visited him recently. He moved up to Bernie. So yeah, you guys are far enough away from the coast that he might get some rain, but it'll just weaken by the time it gets to you.
But it was crazy, though, like as Dallas goes and as rain and the month of June goes, we had a ton of rain in the month of June. It's kind of an odd year for weather.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like in Houston, it's it changes every 5 minutes. So if there are any strange patterns going on, it's kind of hard to recognize them. I'm used to just absolute chaos.
I bet.
Well, tell me about the preparation for the AuthorCon. I imagine it probably starts the year before, does it not?
Yeah, so normally within a month after the event, me and a couple of the people who have been doing it since the beginning, we kind of compare notes, and we take away from what we liked about the last event and what we can improve on. And then we kind of compare notes there, and then it'll be a matter of finding out if we want to return to the same venue or do we want to look at another place. Or so all of that is kind of going on within the first couple of months. And then once we get that wrapped up, then we actually start kind of opening it up to authors who may be interested in getting a table and all that stuff. So, yeah, I would say within a matter of weeks, we're starting to work on the very next one. You're exactly right.
Mm. And so we're, it's at the end of this month. So is everything pretty much set in stone, or are there still some loose ends that need to be tied up, that it's just kind of like the price of doing business? There's just certain things that remain open until the last minute?
It's pretty much done. So today I had a clue that this thing was really coming up very close to it, because when my T-shirt guy, Joe, emails me and says, hey, give me a list of everybody who's going to be there, he usually waits till like it's almost event time, because, that changes constantly, who's coming and who can't make it on. So he emailed me today asking for that list. So that's when I realized, oh, dang it, we are really getting close. So that was a definite flag right there. We're pretty much set. Now it's kind of just a matter of getting in there early on Friday, setting everything up, and then hoping for a good turnout, which we've had a lot of our free tickets claimed at eventbrite.com, so I think we're going to have a good turnout, but you never know. Like you said, if we get some storms going through, or you never know, but it's looking pretty good so far.
And I had spoken to you before about, the first one, and how many did you say were at the first one? Was it like 80 something?
No. So the very first event, it was either 13 or 14 authors.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And so that was 2 years ago. So last year we jumped up to like 68 tables, but it was about 80 authors, because a few people shared tables. And then so this year we're up to 86 tables and just barely over 100 authors with people sharing tables. So yeah, so we've probably got about 20 to 30 more authors than we did last year. So this is going to be the biggest one we've done so far. And so it's a little bit challenging, but we feel pretty good about how it's going to go down.
Yeah, I'm looking at a hell of a lineup here. We know Merrill David, Eric Butler, Reverend Derek Cloud, Chris Miller, Patrick C. Harrison, Rose Garcia, Roland Bursey Jr., Katie Holland, Carmen Norris, Weston King, Marcus. So I imagine probably one of the larger convention rooms or ballroom. I'm not sure what they've got.
Yeah, so this place where we're having it, I think this room can be broken down into like 3 different sections, and we've got all 3 combined. So we've got their entire ballroom. So it's a pretty good size spread. So it should be good.
Awesome.
I understand you're going to join us?
Oh, yeah. The wife and I are coming up there. As much as it pains me to say it, this is I shouldn't say probably. This is the first literary con I've been to, which is kind of a horrible thing to admit, considering I have a literary podcast. So it's just, I'm kind of a homebody.
I'm the same way. Yeah. I mean, you probably wouldn't guess it because I organized this thing, but really that's kind of why I did organize this thing, because I wanted to be able to have my own event and not have to travel too far away to go find another one. So this way, the hotel's like 15 minutes from my house. I go in there, do my thing, and then get back to the house and hide some more. So I'm super introverted. Probably, I don't know. It sounds like you may be too, but
yeah. I mean, I know I have a podcast, but I definitely reach my level.
That's how we release our demons. We write crazy books and we have a crazy podcast. So that's better than going out and doing some of these things that you read about or hear about on the news.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you got to integrate with the shadow, not suppress or be overcome by it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Very nice.
Yes, sir.
Well, cool. I'm looking forward to meeting you, man. That'll be fun.
You as well.
Which day do you plan on? Are you going to be there Friday or Saturday?
I think we're going to be there both days.
Oh, that'd be great. Okay, and then you're staying over the Friday night?
Yes. Actually, okay. I think we're staying both nights just so, we don't have to spend so much time on the road and then immediately get back on. We literally just did that with my brother. He moved to Bernie, and we drove there on a Friday, stayed there Saturday, and then drove back on Sunday. So
that's great, man, because in addition to all the authors and all the tables and all the sales going on, at the exact same time that all that is going on, we'll be having Friday is more workshops kind of oriented toward educating and sharing notes and ideas with, authors among authors and prospective authors, people who are thinking about publishing or writing a book but really don't know how. So we got the workshops for like an indie startup workshop and where do ideas come from and stuff like that. And then we got a couple panels on Friday night. But then Saturday, we got a bunch of panels. We got horror, we got fantasy, we got romance, mystery, thriller. We got all kinds of panels going on Saturday. And both days, I forgot to mention, both days, for those of you who are Joe Lansdale fans, he will be with us on both days. And we'll have like an hour block each of those days in the panel and discussion room. So I know he's a big name here, especially in Texas. He's done just about everything between literature, film, and I didn't realize exactly how much he did, but it's not just horror and mystery. He also writes poetry. He does Western. I mean, he does a vast variety of genres. The guy's very, very talented, so he'll be there both days with us, so that's exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, looking at his work right now. Sounds great. Yeah, even though I'm not a writer, I think I might benefit from some of those workshops you were talking about, just to kind of give me a better idea of the process, and when I'm asking particular authors questions, kind of give me a better frame of reference so I'm not asking things that don't make any damn sense,
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think people have to be writers or prospective writers to enjoy those workshops. I think a lot of people would be just interested just to kind of know how that whole process works, and how do we come up with these crazy ideas, and then how do we transform it onto pages and publish it and all that stuff. So I don't know. I think even if I wasn't writing, probably just a reader, I might be interested in finding out how that whole process works. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah.
Definitely going to check that out. Well, I'm as prolific as you are as a writer yourself. I can't keep up. So what do you have out currently?
Oh, my latest release was just yesterday. That was a little short splatterpunky story released on Godless.com. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that, that's kind of a horror site where you can go and get all of your horror reads. I think it's all digital. I don't think he has any physical copies, but all digital. And so my latest story is called Glock Lollipop. And it's kind of about a war vet who comes back home after seeing a bunch of combat. He's got PTSD, comes back to New Orleans, and as always, they have the Mardi Gras celebration. But this year's a little different because there's an odd group of characters that after Mardi Gras is over, they never leave. They start kind of moving in, and they're really, really filthy, nasty people. They're pissing off their balconies, doing all kinds of nasty things, and having vulgar sex and calling out their neighbors' names while they're doing it. Just really, really filthy, nasty stuff. So it was bad enough that this guy's got to deal with these rotten people. But then as he and his neighbor, Carlos, he was like a teenage kid, video game addict, as they start to get really fed up with all these neighbors, they start to do a deeper dive. And what they find out is quite disturbing because these aren't actually human beings after all. So that's kind of what the story's about, and then how they deal with the situation. But it's pretty filthy, it's nasty, it's got sex and gore and violence and all the stuff that people who read extreme and splatterpunk enjoy and all that stuff. So I had fun writing it. I think people who dug Blood Cum, I think will like this quite a bit. A different setting, Blood Cum was in Alaska. Mm-hmm. This one's in New Orleans, different kind of creature, but it's kind of a feel-good story, and I think people will dig the characters. And I've had a few people read it, and they liked it. So I think people will enjoy it. So that's my latest thing. I was just out actually yesterday on Godless.
Awesome. All right. We will definitely check that out. Well, I know you are a busy man, my friend, but I appreciate you coming on and letting us know everything going on with the AuthorCon, your latest work, and is there anything else you wanted to throw out there?
I think that's about it. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you letting me jump on and talk about, especially about the event. It's a free event. You can get your tickets at eventbrite.com, or you can just show up at the door. The thing we like about people getting their tickets on eventbrite.com is that we kind of get a count and kind of a feel for how many people are showing up. And then if you do that, we'll give you some spins on our prize wheel at the front door and stuff to reward you for going online and getting those tickets. But we'll still let you in at the door regardless. And this year, because we do have a lot more authors, it's not going to be just limited to horror, fantasy, romance, thriller, mystery. We've actually got, I would say, a handful of Western writers this year. There's actually a couple of Christian authors and some children's book writers as well. So we've got a little bit of military. We've got this guy who writes military stories. He calls it war porn, which I don't know exactly where that came from, but we might want to have Alex Aronson a little bit more about where he came up with that term war porn. But anyways, so it's going to be a little bit of something for everybody. So I appreciate you letting me jump on and talk about it. I'm looking forward to meeting you there.
Yes, sir. Me as well. So thanks for jumping on. Thanks for all you do, especially with regard to the AuthorCon, and love your work. And we will talk at you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Great call. Well, it is, what time is it? 8:28. There's one more call I wanted to try and get, so I'm going to see if I can make that happen. So, listeners at home, stand by, enjoy the music. I'm going to see if I can't get my other guest on. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. All right, folks, it has been a great show. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, called in, and joined the chat. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday when I will be joined by a writer who has taken the terrifying real phenomenon of night terrors and intertwined them with psi-ability and the mixed realities of coming of age. So until then, stay healthy, stay sane, and as always, thank you for listening. See you next time.